The tiny thief in the cornfield. It was a quiet night in the village of Rahimabad. The sky was dark, and stars were shining brightly above the fields. Most people were asleep, but one man was still awake, Farmer Yusuf. He sat on his wooden chair outside his small house, sipping tea. His dog, Sharu, lay beside him, half asleep. Suddenly, Sharu stood up and growled. Yusuf looked up. "What's wrong, Sharu?" The dog barked once and ran toward the cornfield. Yusuf quickly grabbed his flashlight and followed him. The wind was still, but something was moving between the tall corn plants. Yusuf walked slowly, shining his flashlight through the corn. Rustle. Rustle. He stopped. "Is someone there?" He shouted. No answer. He moved deeper into the field. Then suddenly he saw something. A small figure, glowing softly with a light blue color, stood near a pile of carrots. It was no taller than a cat. Its skin was silver, and it had large black eyes. Tiny hands were stuffing vegetables into a floating bag that seemed to defy gravity. Yusuf gasped. "Ya Allah, what is this?" The small figure turned, and for a moment, their eyes met. She was not human. She looked like a tiny alien girl with delicate features, a round face, and strange lines glowing on her arms. She dropped a tomato in surprise and ran. But instead of running like a child, she hovered just above the ground, moving fast, faster than any child could run. Yusuf tried to chase her, pushing through the corn. "Stop, wait!" But she was too fast. She zipped through the field like a butterfly in the wind. Sharu barked and tried to follow, but soon the girl disappeared behind a small hill near the edge of the farm. Yusuf stood in shock, breathing heavily. What did I just see?" he whispered to himself. He looked at the ground. The vegetables were scattered. A few of them were still floating in midair, slowly spinning. When he reached to touch one, it gently fell into his hand. His hands were shaking. Yusuf ran back to his house and picked up his old mobile phone. He called his cousin, who worked in the local police, but before he could speak, he saw 2 black cars stop silently outside his gate. Men in black suits stepped out. They wore sunglasses at night. One of them spoke in a cold, calm voice. "Farmer." "Yusuf?" Yusuf nodded slowly. "Yes, who are you?" The man showed a badge. It had no name. Only a symbol, a crescent and star with an eye in the center. "We're here about the thing you saw in the field," the man said. Yusuf's heart skipped a beat. "How do you know?" "We know everything," said the second man. "And we need you to come with us." Just then, Sharu barked loudly again, facing the field. Everyone turned. Blue flash lit up the sky for just 1 second, like something flying up and disappearing into the clouds. The first agent pulled out a small device from his coat. It beeped. "She's still close," he said. The other agent nodded. "We need to find her before someone else does." Yusuf was confused. "Wait, who is she? What was that thing in my field?" The first agent looked at him. "She's not a thing, she's a child. And if she's here, it means we have a much bigger problem." He turned to his partner. "Call HQ, tell them the alien signal is confirmed. And tell ISI we are not alone." ISI agents on the trail night. Islamabad. Rain tapped lightly on the rooftop of a black car, moving through the city's empty roads. Inside, 2 agents sat in silence. Agent Fazan, sharp-eyed and serious, checked a small glowing device in his hand. Agent Nimra, calm but alert, looked out the window, thinking deeply. She finally broke the silence. "You think it's real? An alien?" Fazan didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Something visited that farm. And it wasn't human." The car stopped in front of a small farmhouse. The lights were off, but 2 men in uniform waited at the gate. As the agents stepped out, one of the officers whispered, "Thank God you're here." The farmer's in shock. "Keeps talking about a flying child." Fazan nodded. "We'll handle it." Inside the farmhouse, Yusuf sat in a blanket, drinking warm tea. His hands still shook. "I told you," he said, voice low. She was small like a doll. Her skin was shining, and her eyes, they weren't human. Agent Nimra sat beside him and showed a small tablet screen. Did she look like this? It showed a sketch. Big eyes, tiny frame, glowing skin. Yusuf's eyes widened. Yes, that's her. Faison looked around the room. Where did she go? Yusuf pointed to the back door. She ran that way, and then she flew. Faison opened a scanner. It made soft beeping sounds. As he walked outside, the scanner lit up red. He knelt near the ground. There were strange circular burn marks on the soil, like something had hovered there. Then he found something small and metallic, a coin-sized disc glowing faint blue. He picked it up carefully with gloves. Alien tech, he said. Nimra came closer and whispered, "If she's just a child." "Where are the others?" Next morning, ISI headquarters, Islamabad, a secure underground lab. Scientists in white coats surrounded the alien disc. It floated slightly above the table. One scientist explained, "It's not metal, not plastic. We don't even know what it's made of." Another added, "It's pulsing, like it's alive." Just then, the power flickered. The disc glowed brighter. Agent Faison leaned in. "It's sending a signal." Nimra looked at the map on the wall. "Not to Earth," she said. "To space." Suddenly, a red dot blinked on the screen, in the middle of Lahore City. Faison stood. "She's still here." Same day, an old bazaar in Lahore, busy afternoon. Crowds moved through the market. A child screamed as mangoes floated off a cart. A shopkeeper shouted, "Chor! Something's stealing my fruit." Agent Faison and Nimra arrived fast. Their black jeep stopped near the crowd. Faison raised a small device. It beeped faster and faster. "She's here," Nimra said. Suddenly, a group of bananas floated in midair and zipped down a narrow alley. Faison ran after them. He turned the corner and saw her, the tiny alien girl again. She looked up at him, terrified, and ran. Her legs didn't touch the ground. Faison chased her through narrow paths, jumping over crates and dodging people. The girl used some kind of invisibility cloak, fading in and out of sight. She ran into an old building and disappeared. Faison then stopped, breathing hard. "I lost her." But Nimra, using thermal goggles, spotted her small heat signature behind a wall. "She's hiding," Nimra whispered. They entered slowly, hands raised. "We're not here to hurt you," Nimra said softly. "We want to help." The girl peeked out, her face pale, eyes full of fear. She took one shaky step forward. Then she did something unexpected. She spoke, a single word, in perfect English. "Help." Faison and Nimra exchanged glances. It was the first time she said anything. Nimra knelt down and smiled. "What's your name?" The girl looked confused, then pointed at her own chest. "Lyra." Before they could speak more, Faison's communicator buzzed. A voice from HQ. "Warning. Satellite picked up an unknown object entering Earth's atmosphere. It's not from any country. It's invisible to radar." Faison's face turned serious. "Looks like she's not alone after all." He looked down at Lyra. "Who's following you?" Lyra's eyes filled with tears. She looked up at the sky and whispered, "They're coming." Chased through the bazaar somewhere in Lahore, 2 days later, the city was loud, rickshaws honking, sellers shouting, spices floating in the hot summer air. But in the middle of all the noise, Lyra hid under an old shawl, her small feet dirty. From running, her eyes scanning every shadow, she was tired, hungry, and scared. Behind her, the world didn't know she was there. Just a tiny alien girl, trying to survive in a world not made for her. She clutched a small glowing cube close to her chest. It blinked softly, like it was breathing, like it was watching. Across the street, Agent Faison stood on a rooftop. Binoculars in hand. "She's somewhere in this market," he said into his earpiece. Agent Nimra replied, her voice crackling in his ear. "She's moving south, past the fruit stalls." Faison narrowed his eyes. "She's getting better at hiding." "Or more desperate," Nimra said. In the bazaar below, Lyra darted between crowds. She looked smaller than any child there. Some people thought she was just lost. Others ignored her completely. She stopped at a fruit stall. Her fingers trembled as she reached out for a banana. The seller saw it, the banana rising into the air, and screamed, "Boot! Chore boot!" People turned. Cameras clicked. A baby cried. And Lyra panicked. She dropped the fruit and ran. But this time, Faison saw her. "There!" he shouted, leaping from the rooftop onto a lower ledge. Nimra was already moving through the crowd, flashing her badge. "Move, ISI!" The chase began. Lyra dashed into the narrow side streets of the old bazaar, places where no cars could follow. Only footpaths. Only dust and shadows. She moved fast, hovering above the ground, using walls to push herself. Forward, her cloak flickered, half visible now. Her energy was running low. Faison followed, leaping over crates, ignoring the pain in his legs. He yelled, "Lyra! Stop, we won't hurt you." But Lyra didn't trust him. She turned left, then right, then disappeared into a dark doorway. Inside the abandoned spice warehouse. It was quiet. The only sound was her breathing, soft, quick. She slid down behind a sack of rice and hugged her knees. Her eyes glowed faint blue in the dark. Footsteps echoed. Nimra entered first, gun drawn but pointed down. Faison followed. "No sudden moves," Faison said softly. Nimra called out, "Lyra, we can help you. We're not your enemy." Silence. Then, from behind the sacks, a voice, weak and afraid. "Why? Why do humans chase me?" Nimra lowered her gun. "We're chasing to protect you, not hurt you." Faison stepped closer. "You're in danger. And now, so is Earth." Slowly, Lyra came out. Her head was low. Her tiny hands still held the glowing cube. "I didn't come to attack," she said quietly. "I came to hide." Faison crouched down to her level. "From what?" She looked up at them. "From the ones who destroyed my world." At that exact moment, far above Earth, a silent black object moved into orbit. No lights. No windows. Inside it, something stirred. A voice, deep and mechanical, spoke in a language no human had ever heard. "Target located. Prepare extraction." The ship began its descent. Back on Earth, ISI Regional Office, Lahara. Faison, Nimra, and Lyra sat in a secured room. Scientists examined the cube she had been holding. "It's a star core fragment," one whispered. "This tech, it could power a city for years." But Faison wasn't looking at the tech. He was watching Lyra. She looked so small, so tired, but her eyes held galaxies. He leaned forward. "Lyra, what happened to your planet?" She didn't blink. "They came from dark space. They call themselves Zarn. They don't just take planets, they eat them." Everyone in the room went silent. Lyra pointed to the cube. "This is why I ran. This is what they want. And if they find me, they will burn this planet too." Faison stood. "We're not going to let that happen." Nimra looked out the window, toward the sky. "We'll protect you, Lyra." Outside, the clouds shifted. The wind stopped, and far above them, something unseen entered the Earth's airspace. The hunt had begun. Messages from the star's opening scene, deep underground. Islamabad. It was silent, the kind of silence only found deep beneath the Earth. Inside ISI's secret lab, blue lights blinked. Softly, machines hummed. Scientists in gray coats moved quietly around a glowing cube resting in the center of a glass chamber. The alien device was alive, not just technology, but something more. It pulsed gently, like it had a heartbeat. And then it spoke. A high-pitched sound, not a voice, not words, but a signal, repeating. Calling control room. Observation deck agent. Nimra leaned over the railing, watching the cube behind the glass. What is it saying? She asked. A scientist looked up from the screen. His face was pale. It's not just sending a message, he said. It's waiting for a reply. Agent Faison stood beside Nimra, arms crossed. And if someone replies, the scientist swallowed hard. Then they know we have it. Faison looked at Lyra, who sat quietly in the corner, wrapped in a soft gray blanket, legs pulled close to her chest. She hadn't said a word in hours. Nimra walked over and gently sat beside her. Lyra, she said softly, is this how they track you? Lyra nodded slowly. It is not a machine, it is a beacon. I ran with it. But I couldn't. Turn it off. Faison came closer. Then we need to destroy it. Lyra's eyes shot up. No, if you break it, they'll come faster. If you hide it, they'll search. The only way is to send the right message. Faison frowned. What message? She looked up toward the ceiling. Her voice was almost a whisper, one they're not expecting, from a planet they don't fear. Later that night, secure signal room, a circular table. Screens lit with alien text, decoded by eye. The cube sat in the middle, now glowing brighter. Lyra stood beside it, hands stretched toward the light. A thin holographic screen appeared above her palms, filled with moving symbols. Faison and Nimra watched from a safe distance. She's rewriting the message, Nimra whispered. But to who? Faison asked. Suddenly, the cube let out a pulse of light that passed through the room, harmless but powerful. Lights flickered. For 2 seconds, every computer screen in the lab went black. Then a single line of text appeared on the main screen, glowing red. Incoming signal, intercepted. Everyone froze. What is it? Asked Nimra. A technician spoke, his voice shaking. Something just replied, from space. Not far, Earth's orbit. Faison turned to the wall map. A red dot had appeared, moving fast toward northern Pakistan. They're here, he said. Lyra backed away from the cube, her voice trembling. They heard me. Too soon. Cut to the sky over northern Pakistan, high above the clouds. A black triangular ship moved without sound. Invisible to radar, it scanned the land below. Inside, 3 tall beings stood around a glowing sphere. Their skin was dark and smooth, their eyes like burning stars. One of them growled in a language never heard by human ears. The child has signaled. The humans have it. Retrieve the beacon. Burn the rest. The ship changed direction, heading straight for Islamabad. Back at ISI, headquarters, red alarms flashed. Faison gave orders quickly. Lock down the base. Move Lyra underground. Nimra turned to the tech team. Can we jam their scanners? Scientist replied. Maybe for a few minutes. Faison nodded. That's all we need. He turned to Lyra. Is there anything else you're not telling us? Lyra looked at him, tears welling up. I didn't just steal food, she said. I stole something else. She reached into the folds of her blanket and pulled out a small, clear crystal glowing from the inside. This is a seed core from my planet. If they get it, they can use it to find others. More like me, more planets to destroy. Faison stared at it, realization hitting him. So Earth isn't the target, you are. Lyra nodded. And if they can't catch me, they will erase your world instead. Final scene, ISI launch pad, secret mountain base, a transport vehicle prepared for departure. Lyra, Nimra, and Faison stood beside it. Cold air brushing past them. Faison held the crystal. We'll take you somewhere safer. Lyra looked at the sky. There's nowhere safe, but there is still time. If humans fight back. The sky behind them shimmered. Far above, The Zarn ship entered the upper atmosphere. Cloaked and silent, its hunt had begun. Hunters from another world opening scene, somewhere in the Karakoram mountain snow, fell quietly over the jagged peaks. In a high-altitude ISI listening post, 2 soldiers sat sipping tea, wrapped in thick jackets. The radio was silent. Nothing had moved in the skies for hours. Then a strange sound, not thunder, not wind. A low hum, like something heavy moving through space itself. The younger soldier looked up. "Did you hear that?" Before the other could reply, the lights in the bunker flickered. All power, dead. The radio hissed, then went quiet. They stepped outside and saw nothing, but the clouds above them glowed black dot, and then they vanished. Cut to ISI Mobile. Command base, Margala Hills. Faison stared at the satellite feed. One of their mountain posts had just gone offline. No explosion, no signal, just nothing. Nimra walked in, pulling her jacket tight. "Another blackout?" He nodded. "That's the 3rd one today." A young analyst interrupted. "Sir, we picked up something." Just for a second, a triangular heat signature. Then it vanished. Faison turned to Nimra. "They're here." Meanwhile, hidden transport vehicle outside Islamabad. Lyra sat quietly in the back of the armored truck, wrapped in a gray blanket, holding the glowing crystal tight in her hands. The mountains outside looked peaceful, but her eyes didn't trust the silence. Suddenly, the vehicle stopped. The driver's voice came on the radio. Command, there's something on the road." "It's just standing there." Faison's voice replied, sharp. "Describe it. It's tall, black, not human, not moving." Then the line went dead. On the road, seconds later, the first ISI convoy unit stepped out, rifles raised. Ahead of them, a dark figure stood in the center of the road. Over 7 feet tall, wearing armor that shimmered like smoke, eyes burning. Faint red dot. It spoke, but not in any Earth language. A clicking, grinding sound like metal tearing. Suddenly, it raised one arm. The ground beneath the convoy exploded in a silent pulse of black light. The trucks flipped. Soldiers screamed. Smoke filled the road. From the sky, 3 more dark figures dropped down, landing without sound. The Zarn had arrived. Back at command, alarms screamed across the ISI base. Faison and Nimra jumped into the emergency transport, racing toward the ambush site. "We have to get Lyra out of there," Nimra shouted. Faizan checked his weapon. "No, we fight." Seen, the battlefield smoke curled through broken trees and burning grass. Lyra crawled out of the wreckage, her face bleeding. She held the crystal close. Her breathing was fast, panicked. One of the Zarn stepped toward her. It raised its weapon, just as it fired. A shot rang out from the trees. Faison hit the Zarn square in the head. It stumbled, sparks flying. Nimra and a small ISI team burst out from the shadows, opening fire. But their bullets did little. The Zarn's armor was too strong. "We can't kill them like this," Nimra yelled. Lyra stood up, holding the crystal. "I can." She held it up high. The crystal glowed bright blue, then exploded with light. A wave of energy spread out in all directions. The Zarn screamed as their weapons shut down. One of them collapsed, armor melting. Faison looked at her, shocked. "You had that kind of power all along?" Lyra shook her head. "Only when I'm not alone." The fight turns using human weapons mixed with alien energy. ISI agents pushed back. Drones dropped EMP blasts. Special railguns fired magnetic rounds, one by one. The Zarn began to fall, but slowly. Faison ran to Lyra. "We can't win this." "Here, we have to hit their ship." Lyra nodded. "I know how." She pointed at the sky. "We send this crystal into their core. It will destroy their command system. But someone has to place it inside." Faison and Nimra exchanged looks. "Then we go up," Nimra said. Final scene. ISI prepares for launch an experimental aircraft. Project Falcon rolled out of a hidden hangar. Fast, silent, high altitude. Capable, Lyra, Phazon, and Nimra stood before it. The crystal was locked inside a protective case. Phazon looked at Lyra. Once we go up, there's no turning back. Lyra gave a small smile. I stopped running. Now I fight. Nimra pulled on her gear. Let's show them what humans can do. As the aircraft engines roared to life, the sky above flickered with black lightning. The final battle was about to begin. Last stand at Margalla base. Opening scene. Dream or memory? Darkness. Then wind. Lyra stood alone in a burning field. Giant black ships flew overhead. Her village on her home planet was in flames. Her mother screamed her name from far away, but her voice was fading. Suddenly a cold hand grabbed her shoulder. She turned and saw a Zarn hunter, face hidden behind a black mask, whispering, "You can run across galaxies, little light, but we always follow." Lyra woke up screaming. She was on board Project Falcon, flying fast above Earth, Phazon and Nimra beside her. Her hands trembled. The dream still clung to her. Faiza gently placed a hand on her shoulder. It was just a dream. No, she whispered. It was a warning. Cut to ISI's secret mountain base. Margalla Hills soldiers loaded weapons. Drones activated. Emergency lights bathed the mountain tunnel in red. Tech teams monitored the sky. The base had one job now: hold the line until the Falcon team could reach the enemy ship. Colonel Rasa stood in the control center. If the aliens strike here, we delay them as long as possible. This is humanity's last shield. He looked out the window. Let them come. Above Earth, approaching. The Zarn ship Project Falcon soared silently through the upper atmosphere. Lyra sat between Phazon and Nimra, watching the stars. In her hands, the crystal shimmered, changing colors like it was alive. She spoke softly. This crystal holds a seed of my planet's core. It can overload their systems. But someone has to put it inside their ship's heart. Phazon nodded. And if we don't? Lyra didn't answer, but her silence was enough. Meanwhile, Margalla base comes under attack. The sky over Islamabad turned black. Without warning, massive pulses of dark energy hit the side of the mountain. Rock cracked. Sirens screamed. The Zarn had found the base. Invisible fighters flew over the hills, dropping silent bombs. ISI soldiers returned fire, but the enemy moved like shadows. Inside the base, Colonel Rasa gave the command. Activate. Ground shield. Hold Sector 3. On the ground, an entire platoon was wiped out in seconds. But they didn't retreat. They held, back in the sky. Infiltration begins. The Falcon approached the enemy ship, a black triangle floating above Earth. Cloak to the world. Faiza looked at Nimra. Once we land, we split. I go for the core. You cover Lyra. No, Nimra said. We all go, together. The aircraft entered a breach point in the alien ship, a crack in its invisible armor. The inside was cold, metallic, and alive. Walls pulsed like veins. They moved quickly, dodging security beams, hiding behind strange machines. Suddenly, a wall lit up with a voice. The voice of the Zarn commander. You carry a dying son. Surrender, and we will end you painlessly. Phazon smirked. We prefer the hard way. Battle in the core. They reached the ship's engine chamber, a glowing, spinning sphere held in place by magnetic arms. Lyra pointed. That's it. I placed the crystal there. You have 60 seconds after that to run. Before anyone could move, a Zarn hunter dropped from the ceiling, landing with a crash. Its arms turned into blades. Its eyes locked on Lyra. Phazon jumped in front. Firing, Nimra circled the flank. A brutal fight began, metal against bullets, alien against human. The hunter slashed Phazon's shoulder, sending him flying. Blood hit the floor. Nimra shouted, Lyra, go! Lyra ran, jumped onto the platform, and slammed the crystal into the sphere. The ship screamed. Lights flashed red. The ground shook. Faizan pulled himself up, blood dripping. Let's finish this. He charged the hunter with a shock baton and stabbed it in the core. Sparks exploded. The Zarn collapsed, twitching. Escape and Sacrifice and Inra grabbed Lyra's hand. Come on. They ran through the collapsing corridor. Phazon followed, limping. Just before the exit, more hunters blocked their path. Phazon stopped. I'll hold them. You go. Nimra froze. No, we go together. Phazon smiled. You promised to protect her. This is how. He turned, weapons drawn. Nimra's eyes filled with tears, but she ran, pulling Lyra with her as the escape pod closed. Lyra looked back one last time. Phazon stood alone in the fire, facing death like a soldier. The door shut. Explosion in the sky from Earth. People saw a bright flash, a new star in the sky. The Zarn ship exploded silently, its body torn in two. No sound. Just light. Final scene. Morning after Margala base was half destroyed, but survivors stood tall. The sky was clear. No black ships. No shadows. Nimra and Lyra stood on the ridge, watching the sunrise. He saved us, Lyra said softly. Nimra nodded. He saved all of us. Then Lyra looked up. But they were only one ship. Nimra raised an eyebrow. There are more. Lyra's voice was calm. Yes, and now they know what humans can do. Humans strike back. Opening scene. 1 week later, the world was watching the sky. News anchors spoke in every language. Unidentified object destroyed in Earth's orbit. A massive explosion above Islamabad. Government officials say it was a meteor. Locals aren't so sure. But ISI knew the truth, and so did Lyra. Cut to a quiet room. ISI base. Lyra stood near a wide window, watching the morning sun rise over the hills. The Earth was beautiful, peaceful, but peace doesn't last long. Nimra walked in, carrying a folder. It's time. Lyra turned. For what? Nimra opened the file. Inside were satellite images. 3 more Zarn ships, slowly approaching Earth. One larger than the last. They're coming to finish what the first one started. Lyra's hands shook. This time, they won't send hunters. They'll send a fleet, Nimra nodded. Then we send a message of our own. Cut to secret briefing. ISI black laptop scientists, military leaders, and world security heads sat around a holographic table. A 3D model of Earth hovered above it. Red blips moved toward it, the incoming ships. A general spoke. We can't wait for them to land. We strike first. But how? Asked a scientist. They're stronger, smarter. Nimra stood up. We have Lyra. All eyes turned. She knows their tech, their language, their weak points. And she's not a child anymore. Lyra looked around. I ran once. Not again. She placed a glowing chip on the table. This is your weapon. Montage. Earth prepares for war. Factories light up at night. Satellites shift positions. Engineers install alien-powered cores into jets and space drones. Lyra and Nimra work side by side, training with a joint human team. Pilots, hackers, commandos. Phazon's photo hangs on a wall nearby, a reminder of what was lost. Scene, outer orbit. Day of the strike. A human-made spacecraft, powered by alien energy, flies silently toward the edge of Earth's orbit. Its name, the Sentinel. On board, Nimra, Lyra, and a team of elite ISI astronauts. As they approach, the enemy fleet becomes visible. 3 massive black ships, like moving cities in space. Nimra whispers, Are you ready? Lyra nods, voice firm. I am. Inside the lead Zarn ship, the alien commander receives the human transmission. You invaded, you hunted, you failed. Now we strike back. The commander growls. Primitive minds. You challenge the stars? Suddenly, The human ships vanish from radar. Too late. Cloaked drones, using Lyra's tech, swarm the fleet. They fly inside engine ports, plant explosive charges, disrupt shields. The Zarn respond, but they're confused. Humans aren't just fighting, they're outsmarting. Final battle. Aboard the Sentinel, Lyra and Nimra sneak onto the Zarn mothership during the chaos. Inside, they race through dark tunnels past alien tech toward the core. Lyra plugs in her beacon. This virus will rewrite their navigation system. It will send them into their own sun. Nimra raises her weapon. Let's light the match. Just as they activate the code, a final Zarn guard attacks. A brutal hand-to-hand fight breaks out. Nimra is injured, bleeding, but still fights. Lyra throws the final switch. The ship shakes. Alarms scream outside. The Zarn ships begin turning. Away from Earth, toward deep space. Toward their own destruction. Escape and victory. A human shuttle picks up Nimra and Lyra. As the enemy ships implode in the distance, the sky is lit with silent fire, like a dying star. Earth watches from below. Final scene. Weeks later, Islamabad trees grow again near the old Margala base. Children play. Lyra walks through the garden, now wearing Earth clothes, but her eyes still full of stars. Nimra walks beside her, arm in a sling. What will you do now? She asks. Lyra looks up. Maybe stay, maybe teach, maybe help you prepare. Prepare? For what? Nimra asks. Lyra's smile fades. For others. Nimra raises an eyebrow. There are more like them. Lyra looks out toward the horizon. There are worse. Nimra looks down at the earth under their feet, then back up at the sky. Well then, she says, let them come. Final words appear on screen. In the end, it wasn't our strength that saved us. It was our choice to fight together. Eternity, forever.